The $10 Blessing. A story of unexpected kindness. Margaret Walsh had always believed in doing the right thing, even when it wasn't easy. At 62, she'd learned that life had a way of testing those beliefs when you least expected it. It was a Thursday afternoon in late autumn. Margaret stood at Union Station, waiting for the train that would take her to visit her daughter in Philadelphia. The station hummed with its usual energy. Travelers rushing past, announcements echoing overhead, the smell of coffee drifting from the cafe. She had exactly $47 in her wallet. $20 for the cab from the station to her daughter's apartment. $25 for groceries she'd promised to bring. And $2. Well, that was just $2. After paying for her ticket online, this was what remained until her pension check arrived next week. Margaret didn't mind living carefully. She'd done it most of her life. That's when she noticed him. An older gentleman, maybe 70, sat on a bench near the ticket counter. His gray suit was wrinkled, his silver hair slightly disheveled, but it was his face that caught her attention, the expression of someone who'd reached the end of their rope. He was talking to the ticket agent, his voice quiet but strained. "I'm sorry, sir," the agent was saying, not unkindly. "The system shows your card was declined. Do you have another form of payment?" Margaret watched as the man checked his pockets again, his hands trembling slightly. I must have left my wallet at my daughter's house. I only grabbed this one card, and it shouldn't be declined. There must be some mistake." The agent gave him a sympathetic look. "Is there someone you can call?" "My daughter's at work. She can't leave. And my phone?" He pulled out an old flip phone. "The battery's dead. I'm sorry. I'll figure something out." Margaret saw him stand, his shoulders sagging with a weariness that went beyond physical exhaustion. She recognized that look. She'd worn it herself years ago when she'd lost her husband and didn't know how she'd manage alone. Before she could talk herself out of it, she walked over. "Excuse me," she said gently. "I couldn't help but overhear. How much is your ticket?" The man looked at her with tired eyes. "I can't ask you to—" "You're not asking," Margaret said, her voice soft but firm. "I'm offering." "How much?" $8.50, he said quietly. "But really, I'll find another way." Margaret opened her wallet and pulled out one of her $20 bills. She handed it to the ticket agent. "One ticket for this gentleman, please." "Ma'am, this is too much," the man protested. "Then you'll have money for a cup of coffee on the train," Margaret replied with a small smile. "We all need a little help sometimes. I know I have." The ticket agent processed the transaction and handed the man his ticket along with the change. He stood there for a moment looking at the money in his hand, then at Margaret. "Thank you," he said, and his eyes were damp. "You have no idea what this means. My grandson. He's graduating from the police academy today. I promised him I'd be there. After everything that boy has been through, I couldn't miss it." Margaret felt her own throat tighten. "Then you'd better get to your train. You don't want to be late." He reached out and gently squeezed her hand. "God bless you. May I have your address? I'd like to repay you." "That's not necessary," Margaret said. "Just pass it on when you can. That's how kindness works." The man nodded, still holding her hand for just a moment longer. Then he turned and hurried toward his platform. Margaret walked back to her waiting area, recalculating in her head. She'd have to skip the cab and take the bus to her daughter's place. It would take longer, but she'd manage. She always did. 3 weeks passed. Margaret had nearly forgotten about the encounter. Life had moved on, as it always does. She was in her small apartment sorting through mail when she found an envelope with no return address. Inside was a letter, written in careful, old-fashioned handwriting. "Dear friend, you may not remember me. 3 weeks ago, you helped a foolish old man at Union Station who'd left his wallet behind. You gave him money for a train ticket without hesitation, without judgment. You allowed me to keep a promise to my grandson. I want you to know that I made it in time. I saw him graduate. I saw the pride in his face when he took his oath. His father, my son, died in the line of duty 7 years ago. My grandson wanted to honor him by following in his footsteps. Because of you, I was there to witness it. I'm writing to you now because I want to return your kindness, though I know you didn't expect anything in return. That's what made it so precious." Margaret turned the page and caught her breath. A check fell into her lap. $10,000. Her hands shook as she picked it up, then continued reading. My name is Robert Chen. I'm the founder of Chen Manufacturing. I've been blessed with success in my life, but I've also known hardship. I lost my wife last year. I've been struggling with depression, with purpose. That day at the station, I'd had a terrible morning. I'd argued with my daughter about moving to a retirement home. In my anger, I'd stormed out and left my wallet behind. I was sitting on that bench wondering if anything I did mattered anymore. And then you appeared. You saw a stranger in need and helped without hesitation. You restored something in me that day, a faith in human goodness I'd been losing. Please accept this gift. Not as repayment. Kindness can't be repaid in dollars. Accept it as a thank you, from one human being to another, for reminding me what really matters in this life. With deep gratitude, Robert Chen. Margaret sat in her armchair for a long time, the letter in one hand, the check in the other, tears streaming down her face. She thought about all the years of careful budgeting, of making do, of choosing between small comforts. She thought about her daughter who worried about her living alone. She thought about the little things she'd stopped dreaming about because they seemed impossibly out of reach. But mostly, she thought about that moment at the station. She hadn't helped that man because she expected anything. She'd helped because it was the right thing to do. Because we're all connected in this life whether we realize it or not. Because kindness, real kindness, asks for nothing in return. The money would change things for her, certainly. But it was the letter she would treasure, the reminder that small acts of compassion ripple outward in ways we can never predict. That evening, Margaret called her daughter. Sarah, she said, I have a story to tell you, and then I think I'd like to make a donation to the Police Benevolent Association in memory of an officer I never met and in honor of his son. Because that's how kindness works. It circles back, multiplies, and continues on. Always. The end.